How can we get kids to engage with historical content beyond memorizing dates and names? What if they could step into the mind of early suffragists, explore documents, and advocate for change themselves? Today, we're going to explore an interactive learning experience that brings history to life, plus media challenges that empower students to become creators and not just consumers. And with March Madness ramping up, a look at how competition and gamification can supercharge student engagement. Let's go. It's the beginning of Women's History Month, and I have a really cool interactive experience that will get your students thinking about the past and how it affects their future. I bet your students are familiar with the Declaration of Independence, but have they ever seen the Declaration of Sentiments from 1848? This important document was written at the first Women's Rights Convention and was one of the first documents that captured the grievances and demands of suffragists at the time. The interactive activity available on PBS LearningMedia invites students to explore the document, the context for its publication, and consider its similarities to the Declaration of Independence. But here's what I really dig about this as a learning experience. This chart, it details a list of rights that women did or didn't have in the early 19th century, and in some cases they were different depending on whether they were married or not. I really like this graphic for teaching because it'll definitely prompt a lot of opinions and debate from students, but also because there's a lot of comparison here that can prompt critical thinking. Like, what's the value placed on a marriage that allows or disallows some of these? And what is the value placed on some of these activities based on whether or not married and unmarried women can take part in them? I also love the way they've paired the two documents side by side in this activity because it allows us to analyze the purpose and messaging of the document, which is obviously relevant. We're comparing a declaration of rights for what's supposed to be everyone with another declaration which centers those who were left out of the first one. But I also love this as an ELA person because students could actually compare language and sentence structure and argumentation styles. Finally, the experience ends with this essential question. And while it's a great assessment to check understanding from the lesson, I would also use it as a springboard for more research and definitely a prompt to get students thinking about enduring work for women's rights in our community. I love this digital mural, and I would probably ask my students to think about creating their own by identifying some local leaders who should be celebrated for their work today and throughout our community's history. I have two media challenges for you today that I think would go really well with the lesson we just looked at. These media challenges come from our MLC Media Activity Deck, which I created based on my own teaching experience to help with quick prompts and activities or projects that leverage media viewing and producing in the classroom. The two challenges I have for today would be great as follow-up activities for the interactive suffrage learning experience, and they're both what I call producing activities because students have done the viewing and analyzed a model text that they can then interpret and use as inspiration for production. Here's the first one. Record a dedication. It says, record a dedication to a local monument. Research the monument. Why was it erected? Who funded it? Who is it for? Use these details to write a dedication speech for the monument and then record a video. This could be a great final project after a deep dive into some local history about laws surrounding women's rights, or a dedication to a local hero, entrepreneur, or community member that's relevant to your students and their families. I would also make sure to tell students that it doesn't have to be an existing monument. Maybe it's one they'd like to propose or imagine exists in their community, so that way your more creative students will also have an extra opportunity to think outside the box. Here's the other challenge. Advocate for change. It says, produce a video exposing a social or environmental issue and examining what can be done for positive change. How can you use logic and persuasion to help craft a story that drives change in the viewer? This one would be a great extension opportunity, especially for students who will likely look at the suffrage learning experience and say, not much has changed. So you can challenge them to dig into what has and hasn't changed, what they still want to advocate for, and what media might be really effective for audiences today. In the 19th century, this written document made waves, but what kind of video or audio story might be more impactful today? I have another media challenge for you today that's also a very cool Michigan-made opportunity to celebrate youth voice. We have some friends at a Michigan-based organization called the Mosaic Film Experience, and they just received an exciting grant from the Newman's Own Foundation to boost student voice through a film contest called Nourishing Narratives. The Nourishing Narratives program is all about giving young people an opportunity to create impactful media about food justice issues that they care about. The contest calls for up to 3-minute films that explore innovative solutions, showcase the impact of organizations and individuals, and reimagine what a just, equitable, and fair food system looks like for everyone. As a reminder, we can provide access to lots of film exemplars and mobile-friendly content creation learning materials like filming guides and script templates and sample interview questions, in addition to free equipment through our Media Kit rental program. And we're always open to talking about in-person coaching and collaboration around digital storytelling for teachers and students. Michigan is at the center of a lot of food justice issues and solutions. If you're a classroom teacher or community educator, please consider having your students participate in this film contest, and please don't hesitate to let us know how we can help. Every March, students at Tomek Eastern Elementary School in Fenton participate in a March Book Madness, which is a bracket-style face-off featuring their favorite reads from throughout the year. This project gets students talking about books and what they like about them, and it can help them critically think about what makes a good book. They have to work together to make decisions about who wins each round, and they record book reviews along the way, demonstrating their comprehension, analysis, and their opinions about what they read. This is a really cool example of how you could bring the spirit of March Madness into your classroom this month, but I think there are lots of other examples too. I've learned from science teachers who create brackets with scientific phenomena, discoveries, or natural laws that students have to evaluate and discuss, or social studies teachers who ask students to debate the impact of historical figures, or music teachers who get students dialoguing about popular artists or songs. Incorporating a March Madness style approach to learning can engage students in just about any subject. But why? First, play is important for learning. This is something we've known for a long time, and multiple studies have demonstrated the value of integrating fun, joy, and imagination in learning. Playfulness can help disarm students, and inviting students to practice creativity and imagination through strategic gameplay, role play, and adaptability enhances perspective taking and cognitive flexibility. Second, gamification increases motivation and engagement. Games are naturally incentivized, whether by internal or external reward systems, or simply from the psychological rush that comes from participation in a game activity or from a victory or success. There's actually a good amount of research that cites the long-term impacts of game-based learning for skills like motivation, flexibility and adaptability, communication and collaboration, and even something called graceful failure, which comes as a result of increased risk-taking and decreased stress during the learning process. So this March, as we hit the slump of winter and we're all feeling blue and we're wishing for warmer weather, maybe try incorporating some of these game-based learning strategies into your classroom. Maybe it's a bracket-based project inspired by March Madness, or maybe it looks like a simple leaderboard of celebrations and incentives as students take on book-based challenges during Reading Month. Or maybe there's a food-based challenge you can incentivize for National Nutrition Month. I bet once you start thinking about it, you'll find lots of ways to bring gameplay and game theory into your classroom. And of course, if you've got a new idea or a game-based learning project you do in your classroom, we'd love to hear about it. If you're looking for a boost of inspiration this month, on MLC, as part of our Women's Month programming, we're airing a really powerful documentary from our friends at Road Trip Nation. It's called A Single Mom's Story. The doc follows 3 single mothers on a journey to find meaningful careers, and along the way, they meet other inspiring mothers thriving as microbiologists, professors, authors, and more. A Single Mom's Story could be an interesting discussion to start in social studies or leadership classes where students can ideate and design ways to support single moms. If you aren't familiar with Road Trip Nation, their programs also feature some valuable conversations that can enlighten young people and young adults who are exploring careers and thinking about their future. Check the link in the description for additional resources that can be used for community screenings, discussions, and other learning opportunities in your classroom and learning space. That's a wrap for today's resources, PD, and discussion. I'd love to hear what you think. If you're watching on social, leave us a comment or send me an email, and make sure you follow and subscribe so you check out the next episode. I'll see you next week.
This program is made possible in part by the State of Michigan and by Viewers like you. Thank you.